So, since it's a disagreement day, I just want to respectfully disagree.
Sure.
I feel like I've seen you have conversations with sisters where it's productive and where even though you've disagreed, you've had a very meaningful discussion. But then other times, I think that sometimes your rhetoric is sometimes at the expense of women. So, if a man has to be X and a woman has to be Y, so in order to be empowered, the woman has to be submissive, or in order to be financially empowered, etc., the woman has to stay home. So that worries me, that kind of rhetoric. So at times I can see that you have productive conversations, and then other times like making, for example, jokes about being a
Sister
wife
Asia,
beater.
Sister Asia, where are you from, sister?
The UK, London,
And no, ethnically.
Somali,
Oh, Somali. Okay. And how old are you?
24.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that you're over 18. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so I don't understand exactly whether your views are 100% solid in terms of the whole red pill initiative, or whether it kind of changes. I'm not.
What do you
I
disagree with? Tell me what you disagree with, sister.
I disagree with the very point that a woman has to be. For example, the man's success is at the woman's um, expense. That's
Oh,
what worries me.
okay, I'm going to address that in a second. But first of all, I need to shout out our brother Ahmed Hassan Habibna. Jazakallah khair. Habibi Ahmed Hassan, Jazakallah khair for the 50 euro super chat, my man. I appreciate it, Habibi. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so you're saying that you believe that I have communicated at some point that a man's success must be at the expense of the woman. Is that correct?
Yes, in an ideal sense in the relationship, yes.
Okay. So if a man is successful, okay, it means that he is able to financially provide for his wife and the children that he has with his wife. And by extension, she is now able to spend most of her waking hours at home in the luxury of her own home and comfort of her own home, cooking every now and again, putting the wash in the machine, hanging the clothes out, and so on. But for the most part, probably watching shows on Netflix and just relaxing in general, whilst her husband goes out, does what he needs to do to provide for the family, slogs his guts out, slays the dragon, goes to the gym in the evening, hopefully, keep himself in good physical condition, and then comes home to his wife to have a pleasant evening with her. Where in that scenario does the woman lose?
Right. So that's simplifying the role of a woman. So you see women as caretakers.
Where, hold on, Asia, where in that scenario does the woman lose?
I will explain. The woman loses in that scenario because she's not illustrated as what she actually is.
Which is what?
So if she's a mother, she's a
Mm-hmm.
full-time mother. She's a
Mm-hmm.
carer, she's a provider, and in similar way that you are. She is constantly up about. She has to worry for her husband. She's a woman who has to put others' needs before hers. So the world that
So
women live in,
she has a role to play then in the house. Is that what you're saying? She has a role. She has responsibilities.
of course, and I feel as if men kind of undervalue the work
Uh-huh.
that women do in their
Okay,
lives.
I
So
got you.
even a simple example of the fact that you came from a mother and a woman who fed you and cared for you, and you originated from a woman, or your wife is a woman who gives you comfort, as you mentioned, and gives you children, or a sister or a daughter. Those kind of roles, a woman act as service to you. So
Mm.
the way that I worry, and I always worry about being married, and I fear being married, is when you give and you sacrifice, and then one day you have someone turn around and either discredit everything you do or have done,
Mm.
or feel as if everything you've done has gone to waste because they completely disregard you, or they throw you away, discard you. And I think that's the fear that women live with, that we can never do enough. So in one way, whilst I appreciate you empower young men, because a lot of
Let me
women,
ask you a question, Asia. Then,
yeah,
how have women, because of this fear that you speak of, and I'm going to address it as well, actually. How have women, in your view, reacted to this? What do they do instead now?
they do the wrong thing. What they do is they try to play the role of a man.
Mm-hmm.
So they think if I am on level with him, then
Mm,
he can't disregard me, he can't discard me, he can't throw me away.
mm.
But the fear is in when you are completely vulnerable, and then that's your downfall.
I got you. I got you. What I will say is this, and I've addressed this, and I don't expect you to have watched all 340 of my videos, but I have addressed this in a number of my streams in the past. And that is, first of all, shout out to Ali. I much appreciate the $40 Canadian super chat. Thank you, my man. Jazakallah khair for the support. Is that the role of a mother slash wife slash, whatever, mother slash wife, it should not be underplayed. And actually, this role needs to be given more respect and more weight so that women aspire to want to be mothers and housewives again.
Right.
And I agree with you that a lot of the reason as to, or I should say, I don't know if it's a lot, but some of the reason as to why women want to basically become men, right,
Mm-hmm.
is because they see men getting the credit for doing these types of things,
Mm-hmm.
whilst at the same time they feel they have not gotten credit for the role of a mother and wife. So the logical deduction is then, okay, fine, if that's where the credit is, I'll go and do that. So
Yeah.
if your point to me is women have not historically, or at least in the recent past, got enough credit for the importance of the role of a mother and a wife, then I would agree with you 100%. And I would say to you that this absolutely needs to be given more credit and more importance, because the
Mm-hmm.
mother is she's the school. And if we can restore that pride into being a mother and a wife again, I think a lot more women would want to be mothers and wives without having to be this strange, distorted Frankenstein in creature of a half woman, half man type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the issue. The issue is women can't feel like they can be women securely. Like, as a person who is by choice single, and I'm scared to be married. It's not that I don't want to be married. I fear marriage because I
Okay,
think,
let's talk about that. You said you're scared to get married, and I'm assuming, no, I don't want to assume. So you're scared to get married for, on the one hand, because you're worried that your role will be underplayed as a wife and a mother. Is that correct?
yeah, I'm scared of
And what else are you
making
scared of? What else are you scared of?
I'm scared of making my whole life about some surrounded around someone, and then to either be divorced, because women who are divorced have really struggle afterwards to get remarried. They struggle in the perception of people around them, the community. They struggle in their self-esteem. They struggle to get back on their feet, to kind of get their own identity again. All of those kind of things. So, in one sense, it's the risk of being divorced. It's also the risk of having a bad marriage, where
Mm.
somebody is you are somebody who you know that you're not compatible with, or somebody who, as soon as you're married, they think now you're under my control, now you're under my thumb, and whatever I say goes.
Let's manage your fears. Okay, first let's manage your fears, because you mentioned on the one hand you have a fear of getting married, and then you finding yourself in that type of situation. But then there is also another fear, Asia, that you are not addressing, which is the fear of your prime years passing you and you not capitalizing upon them and marrying a good, decent man for yourself. And as a result of that, you are now a spinster for potentially the rest of your life. By 2030, 45%, this is a study by Morgan Stanley, which is a bank, by the way, yeah, because banks want to know where to put their investment money so they can make money, more money. By 2030, 45% of all prime aged working women, that is between the ages of 25 and 44, will be single and childless. So, on the one hand, you have this fear here, which I completely understand. I do. But on the other hand, you have to manage the other fear, which is you're 24. Okay. You're still
Mhm.
in your prime, but there's not many of those years left. You're at the back end of your prime years. Now you're Somali sister, so maybe you look younger. Somalis tend to look younger than what their age is. Okay, let's just say you've got that going for you. Regardless, you're still on a timer of some sort. TikTok. So you have to manage these two fears because there is no escape. You don't get to make a choice whereby there is no fear that you will have to face. There is. If you choose to get married, you
Right.
potentially run this risk that you speak of. I will grant you that. But if you don't get married, you still have this other risk. You must ask yourself which risk is a greater risk to you.
I agree with you, and that's why I'm currently tethering the line between both.
Which
So,
means what?
which
What does that
means I'm living knowing consciously there's a decision I have to make, but not exactly sure which one
do you
I
have a
should
good
make.
relationship with your father?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
I grew up in a house of 7 boys, so
Okay.
and
Excellent.
one
So
sister.
amazing. So you've got 7 brothers as well, mashallah.
Yeah, Somalis, we like to do it big. We do a lot of
Right.
yeah.
So you have your father and you have 7 brothers to help you to find a good husband for yourself. You're in a better situation than most women, Asya.
Right, but my brothers are younger, so
Okay, they're younger than you. Fine. Then you have to lean on your father.
yeah.
But you're gonna you so long as your father is by your side, okay, I am confident, inshallah, especially because you said that you have a good relationship with him. Excellent. I am confident now because you have your father by your side and you have a good relationship with him that he will be able to help you find a decent man. And you know what, Asya? Maybe when you get married, he does take you for granted every now and again. Maybe when you get married, you do face this fear that you have does come to reality and to fruition every now and again. Maybe it does. Okay. But so long as the overarching benefit of your marriage outweighs any niggles and issues that you're going through, you'll be fine. Because the worst case scenario for you is that you don't capitalize upon your prime years and you don't get married. Believe me, that's the worst case scenario. Because right now, Asya, you're still relatively young. Okay. That I'm sure that you are able to get attention if you wanted to. Okay. But simply by virtue of your age, I don't know what you look like, but I know by virtue of your age, you are able to get attention of some sort. Let me tell you something that dries up. That dries up real quick. And a lot of these sisters, I don't know if you saw my video on the doctor sister the other day, the 29-year-old doctor who said she never wants to get married. Part of the reason, which I forgot to mention in that video, and I will mention it now, why she feels so comfortable in saying that is because she is still being courted. She is still getting attention from men. Once that attention dries up, she is going to be extremely lonely and miserable.
Mhm.
Extremely lonely and miserable. So it's not like you are able to pick an option whereby you don't have to face any dragons or any problems. No, you're going to have to face problems and dragons. But I say to you, so long as your father is by your side, he's helping you to pick a good man for yourself, overall, you're going to be just fine.
I agree,
Inshallah.
and I appreciate your honest advice as well. I think the resolution is to find a good person, but the thing is, you don't know who you really are with until you live with them.
Yes, you're right. But look at this comment here. I brought it up on the screen. Sister Hannah, Jazakallah khair. Everything has a risk. If you applied this mindset to everything, you'd have a genuine psychological disorder. It's true. If you worried like about every decision you're going to make, you'll end up making no decision. But the irony is, Asiya, that's the most regrettable decision of all. Making no decision is actually the most regrettable decision and the one that will torment you for the longest. The fact that you didn't try. You didn't try. You didn't find out. You didn't explore. And now you are haunted by what if. And it will literally haunt you for the rest of your life.
Right, but marriage is a marketplace and women are the product.
Meaning,
Well, when women go on the perspective, it's about examining the woman first, seeing
mhm,
how old she is, how she looks, what kind of religion she has,
mhm,
whether she's done her education, whether she could be obedient to her husband. So
very good.
the product is the woman, and the woman, of course, she has to sell herself, but again, it's not so much about fear mongering. It's about a genuine understanding of the reality of marriage that I come from. I know enough.
It sounds to me that you've already got a pretty good grasp on the topic anyway, because the things you're talking about, obedience, submission, youth, beauty, you've already got a pretty good grasp on it in the first place. So
Right.
I worry less for someone like you than I would for someone like some of these sisters you see me reacting to on my channel.
Right. And I think there are women who are like me, who are withholding getting married because they're waiting for the ideal. Well, even though there's nothing perfect, they're waiting for the ideal man, the guy who can really be trustworthy more than anything, who you can rely on.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. Okay, let's shut this down now. There is no such thing as the ideal man. Okay, you might have heard some people say, particularly in this side of the internet, amongst some of the guys, that my wife knows that I'm the best man she could ever find. There is no man better than me after me for her. Yeah, this is the biggest nonsense I've heard in my life. It's absolute twaddle. My first question is to those people who say things like that is, how do you know? How do you know? What empirical evidence do you have? Firstly. Secondly, there is always someone better for you, but better for her than yourself. And there is someone better than her for you. You are not the best people on the planet. Somehow you won this genetic lottery, and out of 7 billion people on the planet, you and her, collided together in this series of incredible events, and now you have the perfect couple. Doesn't exist. Okay? You just do your best. Are we more compatible than incompatible? Yes. Okay, alhamdulillah. Bismillah. Let's get married. Fantastic. Because otherwise, you're going to play this game forever, which is, but what if? What if there's someone better? And let me just put you at peace. There will always be someone better, and it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
I feel like I just want to find someone who's the best for me.
Doesn't exist. Let me ask you a logical question. There's 7 billion people on the planet, or let's say 3.5 billion men. It's roughly 50-50. Okay. That means that you have a 1 in 3.5 billion chance to find the man that is best for you. That's worse odds than any lottery ticket on the planet.
Should I find the one that's semi good for me then?
Yes, of course you can. And that's my point, is that you look for someone where you are more compatible than incompatible with. Yeah, you don't want to go out of your way to marry someone who you're completely incompatible with. You want to find someone that more of the boxes are ticked than unticked. The more of the boxes are ticked, bismillah, mashallah, let's get married. Yallah, alhamdulillah.
So 80% of the boxes, or 50, what would you say is?
I'm not going to put a percentage on it. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that so long as you get on, khalas, alhamdulillah. You're impressed by his religion, alhamdulillah. He looks like he's got good prospects for the future, comes from a decent, respectable family, all of these things, bismillah, yallah. You are going to find things that you dislike about him, and he is going to find things that he dislikes about you. We are human. It's part and parcel. It's par for the course. It is what it is. Just accept it.
All right, thank you for your genuine advice and the very productive conversation. I just have one question from Sakina, a friend I made in the chat. She says, what is the rules of misyar, and is no strings nikah based on that?
This is a Shari'i question, so please take this Shari'i question to a student of knowledge or sheikh, but I will answer it briefly. That misyar is simply an arrangement whereby a woman voluntarily gives up some of her rights, voluntarily, and at the same time she is allowed to revoke those rights whenever the rights she has forsaken, whenever she wants. This is why I say a man who goes into a marriage like this, he has no leverage. All right, she can give them up and take them back whenever she wants, and that's why I'm trying to manage the expectations of the brothers. That's essentially what it is. Any other Shari'i-based questions, please take it to a sheikh. This is not new. This is old. Everyone knows about no strings nikah type of setups. All right.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, we can all start to appreciate the differences in each other and work together rather than against each other, which is the main ideal. Inshallah.
I mean.
Okay, thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was a productive conversation. That was a good conversation. Melvin, appreciate the €5 super chat, my man. So if you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.